What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Killing Floor 2. We are once again doing a weekly mission. We have a new one available. This time it's called Tiny Terror. A small threat is still a threat. Well, okay. Shooting Zeds in this outbreak will cause them to shrink, make them harder to hit. Select the weekly game mode on the matchmaking page. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do it solo first, and then we'll jump into multiplayer and see if we can get a good game there. Now, obviously when they shrink, make it smaller, the first thing I thought, well, probably Firebug is a good choice, right? Now why Firebug? The reason for that is, you have a ground fire and they need to walk over that fire anyway.
Come on! Some people have no taste, that's gross!
And when they do walk over the fire, which they will have to eventually, they will die anyway. It doesn't matter how big or small they are, they will have to walk over a fire. They will have to make contact with the ground, so that's the thinking behind it. So this is what we are going to play with now. I've been thinking about a few weapon setups that one could use. I think the flamethrower is exceptional for this type of gameplay where you focus on the ground fires. But I don't think the flamethrower is that fun to watch. Well, my top viewed video would suggest otherwise, but still. So we are making our way to the power here. So as you can already see, you deal damage, they shrink, and then they die, hopefully. Maybe. Now you just set the ground fire and let them walk over it, and then you just win. Like that. I think so far this is by far the easiest of the challenges. This is far easier than the boom challenge, which in itself I don't think was too difficult. But if you think about the boom challenge, it was very easy to get messed up. It caught a lot of players off guard now. When I look at difficulty, I also look at how easy is it to mess up? How punishing is it? Now if you messed up in the boom thing, these guys got close to you and they actually dealt quite a lot of damage. Now it was restricted to hard difficulty for that very reason. So it was alright difficulty wise, but I think it had the... It kind of had the possibility still open that you fail. There was something that justified setting it too hard. There was something that specifically made it more difficult. Whereas this feels like, well, yeah, they get smaller, but I mean, then what? Like, where's the difficulty in it? And Tripwire obviously thought the same. That's why this isn't restricted to hard. Instead, it's restricted to suicidal difficulty. So, yeah, obviously Tripwire thought the same. They thought that the premise of this is a little easier than the other ones. And that is why they set it to suicidal instead. Now the only real danger I see is that you have something like a Gore Fiend and you hit it and you damage it and it shrinks and you kind of lose track of it, and then it gets close and kills you. And, I mean, that is a possibility. Like, you know, someone gets close and gets to you and deals damage. Yeah, I can see that as... The husks as well, like look at how small he is and then he explodes on you. Like he did there. That's a possible danger. So be aware of that. But also be aware, those start as regular size sets. So you really first need to damage them before they can shrink. Which means you get a very good shot at getting rid of them or disposing them or at least noticing them before they become a problem, so that's alright, I think. So why the Firebug if it really doesn't make too much of a difference? Well, once a set is small,
You earn the money.
some perks have a far harder time actually hitting him.
Start to wrap things up, as they
I'm
say.
looking at you, Sharpshooter, I'm looking at you, Support. Especially Support. Now, the strength of Support is the penetration power. But the thing is, you usually aim relatively high, so that you get headshots.
Time's almost up.
But it becomes a problem. Now, why does it become a problem? Well, if you do aim high and you have a lot of stuff on the ground, they kind of get away. They are not affected by the penetration
All
anymore.
Zeds inbound.
And that is why I think crawlers are relatively dangerous to supports. Obviously you can still deal with them, it's not like you can't deal with them, but I think that's one of the more dangerous Zeds for support. For that very reason. So I also think that this game mode is kind of hampering support a little bit. I think it's okay for demo. Obviously medic isn't affected much. Sharp suffers a little bit from the small ones, so does Gunslinger for the same reason. Although to be honest, they can kind of work around that because they have a lot of one-shot potential. So when they do go for kills, they have a lot of potential to do so quickly, and therefore not allowing the Zeds to shrink much, because you know you dispose of them too quickly. If you one-shot something, it won't shrink, it will just die straight away, so there's that to consider when playing those perks. However, if you're a gunslinger and you go for the pistol combos against, I didn't see that one, against the flesh pounds, the flesh pound will shrink, so keep that in mind. You can't just use your regular combo unless you're quick enough and
Nicely done.
kind of get the shots in anyway.
You're a real survivor. Good for you.
But that's something to keep in mind as you are playing this, and I kind of want to cover all bases so that you are more prepared to play this. We are entering wave 4 next. Still saving up some money, getting some grenades. The grenades are very useful in that spot because you just cover up the entire area they can come from. And then you have the pistols for the ranged attack. Other perks that are affected, well, Firebug really isn't affected much, as I'm showing here. Commando and SWAT can spam enough to kind of offset it. I mean, it hampers them a little bit because they're also precision-based perks, but really not too much. The Survivalist, well, that perk's a joke. And then we have the odd one out, as always, Berserker. I think Berserker really handles this one well, unlike the Boom Challenge, where Berserker was kind of the odd one out, which I liked for a change. As often it is kind of overpowered, and in that case it really wasn't that useful, so good to see that.
Something cloaked is sniffing around here.
But like I just said, Berserker in this one really, I don't think he cares very much. I mean, you just spam your katana or whatever it is at the Zeds, and you know, it's alright. So it's really not too affected, I think. Any perks I forgot? Let's just quickly check. We have Berserker, Commando, Medic, Demi, Gunslinger, Swan. Nope, we covered all of them. And I honestly think Berserker and Firebug are the two killing perks that are least affected. And the other ones to the varying degrees I just described. Now, one thing you should keep an eye out for is small clots. It is relatively rare that they shrink but don't actually die, because we really don't take a lot of damage. But if they do, and you get grabbed by a small one because you didn't see it, it opens up the possibility of either another small or large Zed to come by and wreck your ass. So it is something to consider. It's not like it's a huge danger, but again, consider it. Like I said before, the small husks are a problem. They can really sneak up on you and flamethrower you out of a game, so watch out for that. So I wanted to do a separate video on the update news from last week's update, and I think I'm just gonna package this in for this one as well. And we're just going to go through the update news and just read through them a little bit and give my thoughts on them. So the first thing was done is weapons balance to the commando. Now the stoner damage was increased 20% and the scar damage was increased 10%. Now what do I think of that? Now people have been calling for a stoner damage increase like forever. So the stoner damage increase, I think, is a good decision. I will go more into it. I think it was a decent trash killer before, now it has a little bit more variety. And I think that suits it for a tier 4 weapon now. Because the issue with the stoner was that for a tier 4 weapon, it was really rather limited in what it could do. Goodbye Flesh Pound. So the thing about the stoner was, yeah, yes, it was a good trash killer, but it was a $1,500 trash killer. And there are weapons significantly lighter and significantly less expensive that do the same job. So, if you wanted to kill even just a Scrake with the stoner, you would have to use ridiculous amounts of ammo. And let's be honest, that's an issue for a weapon this expensive. Now a good loadout was carrying the Scar with it, and that's the next weapon we are looking into. Now, did it need a damage increase? Now personally I don't think so, however, if you look at the weapon loadouts, having the medic assault rifle on commando has always put the Scar into a kind of a tough spot. At least in team games it has somewhat put it into a tough spot, because you have a larger magazine with Med AR. You have high damage output with a Med AR, and you can heal. And as an added benefit, using the medic assault rifle on commando practically negated the massive recoil. So you could argue that using the Scar was no longer the top option, and I think that kind of balances these two weapons, so that both of them are equally good options now. But it remains to be seen what it really does in practice. I mean, it takes a few shots off of killing Scrakes and, well, also Flesh Pounds, but that's not really your job. So it's alright. It's an alright change. I think the Scar balance change really doesn't hold much sway. It's not that important right now. I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate that Commando is getting some love. But it's not exactly what was needed. This one's really more about the stoner damage increase. That's like the big thing about this. Die. Good. And there was more changes. I'm just quickly gonna have to kill them before I go through them. There we go. The next change was the M4 got buffed. Now the weight was reduced to 7 blocks. The hip recoil was reduced, the reload speed increased, and the elite reload speed increased. What do I think of this? Well, the weight reduction is welcome. It is a welcome thing. It was not a necessary thing. The weight reduction is really a kind of added bonus to the whole thing. The hip recoil, yeah, alright, it's okay. Kind of like the weight reduction, it's okay, but it wasn't like the deciding factor why I think it's a good change. Now the reload speed, however, is very important. Why? Let's be honest, just like the combat shotgun in KF1, it was the reload shotgun. You were constantly busy reloading. Now my suggestion for this has always been increase the magazine size, which I still think is a better choice because the elite reload was already incredibly fast. But an even faster reload also addresses the issue, which is just constantly reloading. And I mean, it got a damage increase before, and now it got these buffs as well added to it. So at least it's no longer outclassed by like the HC12 or something. Or HZ12. Like, it's no longer outclassed by severely cheaper guns. The issue still is that you still need a lot of money to make an M4 support setup really worthwhile, because the go-to setup is probably still going to be AA12 and the double barrel. The double barrel is just... it gives support so much variety and such an early game weapon against Scrakes. So after one wave you can kind of afford the double barrel and deal with Scrakes. So taking down early Scrakes is kind of your job. And I don't think that's gonna change much, so it's still in a tough spot, but that has a lot to do with the competition it has in its perk, namely the double barrel. And I don't think it's ever going to replace the double barrel. It can, however, serve as a poor man's AA12, I think. Because it does have trash clearing potential. It has pretty high damage, actually, for what it is. Now that fire is still burning. Interesting. Die! Woo! Fire! Yay! So I think it puts the M4 in a better place where you can build setups around it. I still don't think it's a go-to weapon. Certainly a fun one, certainly one that you can build into setups, and certainly one that you can justify using now. It's not like if you use it your team has automatically lost or something. It's not that terrible, it's just... it's really just about the competition that it has, why it isn't that top tier. Now what else do we have? The center fire adjusted for position. Well, hold on. Adjusted position for reloads to not block the center of the screen as much. That's a good change. That's quality of life improvement. I appreciate that. I like it. Fix camera bar when sprint run to not be so extreme. That's also quality of life improvement. Appreciate it a lot. I like it. And then there was some bug fixes. The Scrake and Rage issue was well documented and finally fixed, so good job on that. Then we have Flesh Pound now properly enrages at any point in the game at spawn time if requested. Well, if it bugs out like that, then, you know, good thing they fixed it. Players should now be able to more reliably matchmake. That did not work. Right after the update I could not matchmake, like, at all. I tried it, it didn't work. Not at all. Before it actually worked, after it didn't. Boom mode now properly de-enrages at all times. That's interesting. Fixed typo with a Summer Sideshow player accessory. Well, fixing typos, good thing as well. Good on that. And Jägerhorn now also properly unlocks via Digital Deluxe. Well, I don't really care about that. So, the balance changes I do actually agree with. I like them. Will they change how I play the game? Probably not, but I agree with the changes that have been made, so that's all I can say about them. And the bug fixes, obviously, good job. Matchmaking apparent. I mean, for me it wasn't working. I tried it with a friend as well, wasn't working. He tried it alone, wasn't working. So, I don't know. Maybe it's fixed now, maybe not. Now, we are through this, what's this called? Weekly Outbreak? What is this one called? Tell me what's... Tiny Terror. What do I think about Tiny Terror? After the first two weekly events, which were just... I really liked them a lot and I think they were just amazing. This one is a bit of a letdown. It's not bad, it just doesn't add like the variety in the gameplay. Like the Headshot only added a lot of... a different take on it, and the Boom added a different take on it. And both of them kind of eliminated some perks from the equation. Not necessarily eliminated in the sense of you can't play them, but in they're really not ideal. And in this one it's a little bit harder because there's really not much happening. I mean, yeah, they will shrink some, but is that really a problem? Maybe a little bit, maybe not. So yeah, I mean, did his voice change as well? Yay, more fire. Oh, your shield is going down. So yeah, compared to the other challenges, I don't think it's quite as good, but I mean, not every challenge can be quite as good as every other one. I mean, you're gonna have some you don't like as much, you're gonna have some you like more. That's just normal, that's how things go, right? So I really wouldn't be like worried about that. I mean, maybe the next one is gonna be brilliant again, you never know. Burn! Shit. Good. Ouch. I will run, that's what I will do. Burn! This is actually a quite valid strategy to just run him through fire and just burn him down. Especially in solo, like, he doesn't take that much damage. Like, if he keeps running through stuff, you kind of make him dance around with a microwave, which he has trouble with. Kind of a decent strategy, I think. So, what we do here is we just run him around a little bit. Let's see if we can break it. Probably not. Nope. a little unfortunate, isn't it?
Well, someone's
Oh,
making
wait.
panic.
So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. That's kind of a little bit of a kind of guide on what I think is easiest to do against these type of sets. I still think Berserker is the easiest against the boss, actually. I just didn't want to switch. So in case you have trouble with the boss, try Berserker. It always works. Always. Yeah, try it. And dead. So yeah, kind of the update thoughts and the thoughts on the new weekly challenge. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get this challenge done as well. This one's on Suicidal now, so maybe a little bit more of a challenge for the medium players. And we'll see each other next time. Have fun with the game. And until then, farewell.